Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday, TGIF. Before we cast off into the weekend of enjoyment and playoff football, we're going to extract some more money from the market. So join our crew. Live trading is back. Happy Friday. Let's make some money.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
All right, folks, happy Friday. We are back for another episode of live trading. And just because it's Friday, decided to bring a little treat here. Of course, we got 13 in the back who's been holding it down. 13, happy Friday. Good morning. Hope you are well.
I'm doing all right. How are you, man?
I'm doing really good because I got excellent news this morning. Apparently, there was, quote unquote, a clerical day. And our good friend Nick Brown joins us live from his house with a fresh tie, by the way, that's popping. I don't know if the kids say popping or bussin' or whatever it is. Looks good, Nick. Happy Friday. How you doing?
Thanks, Ryan. You know, it even snowed again last night, another 4 to 6 inches. So even if it wasn't a clerical day, I think I would have still had off. So it's like a win-win scenario, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, we were predicted to get 4 to 6 inches last night, and we got maybe 2. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the accuracy of the weather people. But today's a new day. Maybe we'll get some more snow here today, and I can be all happy. Okay, let's dive right into the market. First thing that I want to do here is I got to figure out which one is the right one. Oh, man, this is driving me insane. Here we go. There we go. We are going to start with Trade the Pool here. Again, live trading is sponsored by Trade the Pool. If you need a prop firm, if you need help getting above the 25K pattern day trading threshold, give Trade the Pool a shot. They have a huge list of stocks that you can trade from. We get their teammates in here helping us on a regular basis. Cannot thank them enough. Now, looking into the Trade the Pool account, we are still carrying TGTX. I think that that's trying to rebound from its sell-off. We are also still carrying Zim. We took a starter swing position on Zim yesterday. We actually had a great, the day before yesterday, I beg your pardon, had a pretty good day yesterday. We're a little bit weak in the pre-market here, but remember, we did get those Drury shipping rates. They are up. I expect Zim to reflect that. We are still long here, just about flat on Zim. So as far as Trade the Pool, those are the only positions being carried over into today. We will absolutely be looking for some new ones here shortly. Now, let's go ahead and talk about them. Now I think I got this figured out here. Let's go ahead and talk about the SPY. As you can see, we are having a nice day so far here today. The price of SPY pushed up to a pre-market high of 479.47. We are right under that 480 all-time high breakout spot that we've been looking at for weeks. Sure looks like we are going to test that here today. The question that I have is, if we test it and we trade above it, do we hold that? Do we continue a run? Does it look like a traditional breakout that has a wide breadth and takes a lot of stocks with it? Or do we set that new high, maybe come back in and start a downward move? Lots of questions to be answered. Some of them will get answered today. Some of them will probably have to wait till next week, but that's one of the things that I'm looking at right now. 13, before we get rolling through some of the news and some of the smaller plays off of the mover scanner, any thoughts that you have on the market or what you'll be watching today?
Well, there's not a whole lot that I noticed from the scanners this morning. I am going to be taking a look at or watching the SPY because, as you pointed out, we're getting really close to that all-time high that we made. We did get up to 479.47 in the pre-market this morning. The question is, I think the answer we might get today is, will we hit 480? So that's something I'm going to be watching. I'm hoping that we do get that test because I anticipate that we might start seeing a lot more selling pressure come in once we do.
Okay, so it seems to me like maybe we get that test, maybe we get a pop above it, but that probably slows things down and turns us around. That is exactly what I'll be looking for here today. Might even think about taking some SXPS, right? The short S&P ETF when we get to that area, right? If we do pull back from that resistance spot, that could actually be a pretty decent day trade. So we will go ahead and watch that as well. Awesome. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the movers. Nick, I'm going to run through some of these movers real quick. And I think what we should do is go into some of the news, right? Some of the bigger news. I know we're definitely going to be talking about Save here. So let me just go ahead and get started here. Then we'll roll through the news. 13, if you have a watch list, giddy up. Let's do it. And then we'll take some more tickers here from the chat. Okay, so let's flip back over to the gainers here. Okay, so a couple of stocks on the list. First one here is Mesa. And I don't think the gentleman is here, but we had a gentleman yesterday during our happy hour show, which I talk about all the time, who was literally calling the potential move in Mesa as it happened. We had a guy say, hey, Mesa's moving here, long 84 cents, looking for a breakout here. Ended up opening and closing the trade within the happy hour show, within the after hour session. Really kind of impressive here. The other thing that did is that set us up here for today. So as you can see, Mesa pushed as high as 134. We've actually had several legs up here. I'm looking for another one before the things are all said and done. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen right out of the gate here. I don't know if we're going to trade from the VWAP, which is about where we're at right now. Maybe we break through the VWAP and come in towards this $1 round number handle. I don't know where the move is going to start, but I am suspecting that we get another one here in Mesa today. So we are going to watch those levels. We're going to watch those technicals. And above all, we are going to watch that volume. So Mesa definitely in play here today. Now, the news catalyst that was driving this, again, happened yesterday in the after-hour session. Mesa Air Group enters new agreements with United Airlines for improved operating and financing terms and provides an update on CRJ 900 asset sale program. So that is what's driving Mesa. Again, we popped yesterday. We are holding some of those gains today, looking for a new opportunity here today. Next on the list here, I have TCN. This is Tricon Residential. Now, I didn't see this one earlier, so it looks like Blackstone to take this private. So this is a buyout here at 11.25. Trade is over here on TCN. Grats if any of you were holding that. Next, we have Save, and this is the one that we just started to talk about. So I'll actually take a moment here, and we can actually talk about the news because that's going to be really important here. I already see some people asking here in the chat, is this a fade? Is this a long? What are we doing here? There could be opportunity for both of those trades here today. Now, Save, of course, ticker SAVE, Sierra, Alpha, Victor, Epsilon. Is that Echo? Echo. This is, of course, Spirit Airlines, everyone's favorite airlines. I say that tongue in cheek, LOL. But anyway, this has actually provided a good trade for us before. Let's see if we actually keep bouncing here today. Now, Nick, I'm going to go ahead and read the news here. I definitely want to hear both of your thoughts on what this news means and perhaps what the next move is here. We had several news posts here, courtesy of Benzinga Pro. Spirit Airlines seeking to convince JetBlue Airways to appeal the judge's decision blocking their merger. We also said looks like they had a guidance update here. They said their total revenue for Q4 2023 is expected to be at the high end of the company's initial guidance consensus. It says Q4 operating expenses are estimated to come in better than expected. Spirit Airlines says adjusted operating margin guidance for Q4 is positively revised by 450 basis points from negative 15 to 19 to negative 12 to 13. For Q1 2024, company estimates capacity growth will be up 1 to 2% year over year. So the question here, folks, or I'll just pose this to you too, and we'll have the chat jump in here. Nick and 13, the question here is this a fade or is there more room? What do you guys think on this one? This is going to be a big trader here today.
Go for it, Nick.
Well, I was going to say too, Ryan, to add to that with what's going on, we do know that Spirit Airlines, this is according to Reuters, is seeking to convince JetBlue to appeal the judge's decision. So we're still trying to talk about this merger. We're getting some positive information, but when they report earnings is going to be the key. I don't know if this is trying to set this up for earnings, saying, hey, the bar is set low, but we're actually going to perform really high, better than expectations. Or they're trying to tease a little bit, and it's the complete opposite. I'm not really sure here, just because we had some horrible news this week, and now all of a sudden we're getting this positive news. But is it really positive? Aren't really you kind of teasing, not really? Show me the money, really. Show me the earnings. Show me the money is where I want to go with this. So I don't know if this is a tease to buy and then all of a sudden earnings comes and it's a flunk, or it's the other way around. The conference call for when this company reports earnings is going to be very critical, because everybody's going to be asking about this JetBlue deal. And is Save eventually going to be laying off workers? Or are they going to be part of this clan here today? I don't know. I don't know if Spirit Airlines is a great airline. I don't normally fly Spirit. I'm normally a Delta or a United guy. So I don't know what the airplanes are like anyways.
Okay, so awesome. You already won by not flying Spirit. What I will say here is, first of all, look at the move that we had from the lows yesterday, 410 up to the highs here today, 781. So let's see. Hey, Nick, it sounds to me like what you're saying in there is there might be a chapter something bankruptcy coming here, whether it's chapter 11, chapter 7, whatever the case is. You don't think Save or Spirit here is out of the woods at all. How about you, 13?
Well, I agree. I don't think they're out of the woods with this, and they had been pretty silent ever since the judge handed down the loss of that merger happening. So this is the first time they've really came out and said anything, and I found it pretty interesting too that they would let their stock go all the way to almost $4, which is where Citigroup had their price target, and then a whole bunch of buyers started coming in. So I think that the buy the dip move is already in, and I know that some people were looking to fade this, and I think that's probably on the wiser side of how to play this. But as we've seen before with some of these companies, and earlier this year, shorts can get absolutely squeezed if the news of people start jumping into this at the right time. I think this is just delaying the inevitable for the time being. As Nick said, it's really going to come down to how they report what they say in their earnings and their conference call. But there is, a glimmer of hope that they could avoid it. I just don't think it's wise to write it off either way. So, okay, I think we're kind of in a wait and see kind of pattern. But I'd agree that fading would be the wiser thing to do. So that way you don't lose as much.
Okay, couple of things here from the chat. Really appreciate the discussion here, folks. This is exactly what we want to be doing here. Crow says, fade. That was a dead cat bounce from short covering. Okay, well, a couple of things in here. That might have been a bounce, but there's headlines that's driving it. I can't possibly just agree that it's just simply a dead cat bounce. There are other things going on here that's driving it. Now, the short covering part, I think you're absolutely right. If you actually take a look at some of the short interest, you can see that recently, since November, the short interest has been building pretty significantly here in Save. So if you want to confirm that this is short covering, the next time we get our next read, which should be the end of January, maybe another week here, we'll be able to see if the short interest has changed and if some of those shorts have covered up. Now, one of the other things here about a potential upside move is, in fact, the short covering dynamic that Crow is talking about. A lot of people, Nick just told you, he just gave you a case for some type of bankruptcy. 13's telling you that fade is probably the smarter move. Well, guess what? The shorts are trying to capture that as well. And if something happens here and the shorts get jammed, there could be an upside play here. So Save is going to be really, really interesting here today. Would love to know how any of you folks are trading it. I have no position in it yet, and I'm probably going to be a little bit more conservative instead of front running this move. Awesome stuff, though. Awesome stuff. Okay.
Just be careful with this. We know what the headwinds are for this, so be very careful.
Well, that's why I wanted to have the discussion, right? The more information we have, the better our decision making should be. The one thing that I will say is that if I'm trading this to the upside here and I get gains, there's no way I'm going into the weekend with Save in my portfolio. The only way that would be possible is if we took a day trade, booked significant gains on the day trade, and then kept a trailer over the weekend because we thought there was some type of extenuating move. Be very, very clear. We're talking about trading here today in this vehicle, not taking it home. Next on the list here is going to be Wayfair. Jay Rice, I know you got to be really, really excited because most of the stocks that we've talked about have been more expensive, bigger stocks here today. Some days it's like that. Some days it isn't. Wayfair here popping to the highs. Catalyst here, Wayfair shares trading higher after the company announced a workforce realignment plan, which includes a workforce reduction involving approximately 13% of its global workforce. Sounds to me like Wayfair is nicely trying to say they're cutting some of their staff here. That is driving the price higher here. This went from about 51 yesterday, currently printing about 58.5. We'll see where Wayfair finishes. If we take a look at the daily chart here, some of the other levels could become a little bit more clear. Definitely think there's one in here by 70. Now we're going to need some work to get up there. We're still kind of in the top end of this consolidation range. I'd really like to see us pop out of this before we make a move towards 70 there. Okay.
Well, he really didn't say it nicely. The Wall Street Journal says the CEO says online retailer went overboard. Overboard.
Okay. I mean, I guess you're right. And I guess I'm referring to the actual newsprint here. I mean, a workforce reduction involving approximately 13% of its global workforce. You might as well just say they're cutting staff. They're cutting staff to save money because that's exactly what's going on here. So that's kind of what I meant by that. Okay. Let's see what else. Did I miss anything here from the chat? No, doesn't look like it.
I was going to say, while we're on the topic of cutting, Macy's also cut jobs, or are cutting jobs and are closing stores. If you want to hit that too.
Yeah, let me go over to my other chart here. It's a little bit easier to see. We'll talk about some of that. Nick, what stocks did you have news on here today that you wanted to roll through? Let's do it.
I was going to say we can hit Macy's because that news came after the close yesterday. They're cutting 2,350 jobs. They're closing 5 stores. They're seeking to eliminate corporate jobs as it seeks to automate and move to some roles offshore. Macy wants to add more automation to its supply chain and is outsourcing some roles according to a memo. It's also reducing management layers to speed decision making. They also say the company, this is according to a source according to the Journal, the company will be investing in areas that impact customers, such as adding more visual display managers to enhance the look of stores and upgrading digital functions to make online shopping more seamless. We actually have a Macy's near me. It's been there for years. It's in a mall area that's kind of dead. Macy's, tons of items, so many items. I don't really know if it's busy each day. I mean, when we bypass every once in a while, it doesn't look like it's busy. So I don't know if the Macy's near me is going to be closing, but I don't know, online shopping. But it is hard to online shop for new shirts, new jackets, new everything, because you grow and then, then you lose weight and then you have to kind of go fit on something else. So I don't know if to close a Macy's is great because, well, I get to return more and then I'm grumpy and, that's
same deal here with Macy's. There's a Macy's by me and it's in a mall and the mall's a little bit more dead. I don't even think I've been to that mall for shopping purposes in over 15 years. I mean, it has been such a long time. The whole concept, it doesn't really ring with me. I will say these companies have become so good at returning stuff. I mean, I know I joke all the time. I get most of my clothes from Costco. They basically have standardized sizes, and I guess I'm not really growing anymore. So whatever size I get there ends up being good. I really don't have to return more. And actually, I just kind of the online clothes shopping, that's really proliferating. I mean, if you take a look at what Lululemon is doing, they're an absolute monster. And I know that they have brick and mortar stores. Same with Fabletics, by the way, which I've recently tried. New brand, new clothes, and all of the sizing very, very standard, with very good experience, actually. But these companies are doing really well online. They don't necessarily need to have as many brick and mortar stores as they did in the past. Jane says, my daughter shops at Costco for clothes too. I'm telling you, that's the way to go. I get made fun of, but it's okay. It's okay. I save a whole bunch of money.
Are you still able to share your subscription, or are they still checking? Are they enhancing that near you, Ryan?
The Costco. You know what? I have been showing my Costco credit card that also has my Costco membership ID on the back. I've been showing that every week that I go since I started my membership there. What I will say is that when I get to the registers, they scan my card, but they don't ask me for any ID. Now, the one caveat there is that I go to the same Costco and I go every week, and I actually know a lot of the staff. They're quite nice. And so they know me on a first name basis. They're not going to be checking my ID anyway. I'm not a good person to ask that about, although I do have to show my card every week that I go in.
Okay.
All right. Was there any other news that you wanted to go over? I know we're about 2 minutes till we open here. I'm sorry if I took too much time.
Nope. I was going to say we have Ford if you want to talk Ford.
Oh, there you go.
News this morning.
And 13, if you got anything, we can do that too. What's the news here on Ford, Nick?
So
What's
they
the
are
interest?
adding third crude to meet demand for Bronco and Ranger. They are reducing the F-150 Lightning production. It says a few dozen employees could be impacted at component plants supporting the F-150 Lightning production. It says approximately 1,400 employees will be impacted as the Orange Electric Vehicle Center transitions to one shift effective April 1st. Expects continued growth in global EV sales in 2024. Company will create nearly 900 jobs and add a third crew at the Michigan assembly plant.
Okay, though one thing on Ford here, I actually lost it, but let me see if I can get it back here. Where are you? Where is my parallel channel tool? Here we go. We've actually had this channel on Ford for a while, and this is actually made for some decent trading here. We recently broke beneath this channel and have popped above it, and now it looks like we're rolling back over to test the bottom end of this channel. So let's see if we turn around here on Ford or if we continue to set new lows. All right, are we open yet?
Nope,
No,
we got about 40 seconds.
Okay, got about 40 seconds. 13, in that 40 seconds, do you have anything that you'd like me to go over real quick?
Just some tickers that I was scanning this morning for trading vehicles. KMAN and TCN, I think the chat already mentioned, those are getting bought out. So those would probably be not something I touched today. Yep. You guys already mentioned Mesa and Save. There are a couple of penny stocks. PSCA, they had an announcement of expansion into advanced and metastatic breast cancer.
PSCA?
PCSA.
PCS. Gotcha.
Yeah, so they're basically announcing. Okay, now we're open. Phase 2.
There we go.
And then PPBT, new board member appointed. I don't know if that's going to really move it. And then MHD, share repurchase info. Don't think there was any action on that. That's all I've got. I'm start trading now. All right, and also I expect some of these previous runners that, as we've observed so many times, to pick up later on in the morning, because I have a feeling that we're going to just we're going to revisit those due to lack of other things running. So, Digital World Acquisition (DWAC) is probably going to move today as well. It's already moving out the gate.
EWTX here also moving out the gate. This is being mentioned here by Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan, you've been on fire recently. Edgewise Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced a pricing of its $240 million underwritten offering at $11 per share. So offering here at 11, stock going up.
Okay, so there's your there's a good support level then.
Yep, and someone was asking about NVIDIA earlier in the chat here. We at some point we cover NVIDIA every day. It definitely doesn't need to be asked about. It's literally the hottest stock in the market. New all-time highs. This thing's been really, really strong. 1 minute chart here out of the gate. We are selling off. Look for this to bottom here. I would say that first spot here, maybe 174-ish. You might get a little bit of a bounce there. Maybe it stops a little prior right here. We'll keep an eye on NVIDIA here.
Guys, watch the S&P 500. It's literally about 6 points away from an all-time record close. Intraday high, 48.18 setback. I think 2022, 2021, one of them. It will be the first time in like 515 or 512 days, according to Bespoke Invest, if the gains hold here at the open.
Okay. MISO, by the way, MISO moving above its VWAP here.
Morning, Richard. And then as far as NVIDIA goes, one thing I wanted to point out was how overbought this thing is. Daily RSI, just when we opened, was at 78. I have to think that there's going to be at least a cooling off period with this. It come in a little bit, but it could still go higher because, as you put it, this is the hottest stock on the market right now. Yeah.
Bernard, good to see you this morning. F is getting close to where Frank likes it. Yes, that's the bottom end of that parallel channel that I just drew. Frank was definitely one of the gentlemen that was trading Ford back and forth.
B-Frog pretty hot out the gate here. Now it's coming back in, trying to get above that VWAP.
MISO, by the way, right at that VWAP. I have an intraday high print here of 195. I've got the VWAP at 193, it looks like. So we're right there on MISO. I see a little bit of size above 203. No position yet, but you know what? We might take some right here. We might take a starter here on MISO. Let's see what we can get done. Long 191 here on MISO. Let's see if we can get above that VWAP. If we really start to break down, we'll just close this here.
Yeah, might be wise to wait on some of these. Looks like Save is getting hit right out of the gate.
Let's take a look at Save. I got my stop set on MISO 181. Here is Save. So it looks like you guys that were talking about the fade early on, that is the first move that we are getting here. Break now below 7. I've got the VWAP here at 712. Lower we go.
Okay, now we might start coming back up. I just saw a huge order that was trying to push the price down. It's gone now. Now it's starting to get bought back up.
Did that hit the time and sales? I took my eye off of it.
I was watching order book with that one.
Crassy says in and out of SMCI, done for the day. Nice job clocking into your 3-minute day here, Crassy. That is exactly how it's done on a Friday. Well done, sir.
Well, see you later.
That's really awesome.
As Market Sniper is pointing out, AGFY from yesterday is starting to move again.
Yep. We are popping here on AGFY.
Yeah, we had some
right through that VWAP at 126, currently stopping at 130.
We went back to where it started popping the morning before, like yesterday, and it seems to have found a bottom. Now we're coming back up. So I would say if we can get back up above the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, which is about 135, could see it go up to 145, maybe 150.
Zim, by the way, my swing here, nothing but sells early on here. Zim coming back in.
That's okay.
Might add it at that 1230 handle if we get down there. That's another 60 cents from where we're at now.
I
on Zim.
I took some profit on Zim in the morning yesterday, and I just started adding back into it when it gets to 13 and lower. That's what the plan is right now. And now we might get some bulls coming in and say, hey, 13's too low.
Here's Mesa. Crow's long Mesa here. This moving back through the VWAP to the upside. So we've got, this is going to be rough, folks. We've got Mesa and MISO. So MESA and MESO. And it would appear that I'm in the wrong one here this morning. By the way, NVIDIA bouncing. So we talked a little bit about that sell-off right out of the open. Buyers taking over here. That stock is bouncing. Let me see. I know I can bring NVIDIA up here. Nice little bounce right back to the VWAP. We'll see what the next move is here on NVIDIA.
MRAI from yesterday had a nice move out the gate. Still, pretty low volume for this one, but it's right up against this 121 area, 122, 121 area. And
this gave two really quick, great trades yesterday. Definitely keep this one on watch. Yeah.
And it ran later on in the day too. So these levels have been working. We just need to see some more buying occur to get it over that 122 and bring it up to 130. Save now under 7 slightly.
SMCI, look at this move here. This was what, 311 yesterday, printing 361. Big move here, SMCI. No wonder Crassy's out.
And it looks like Zim is getting a rebound off, going under 13.
There we go. We'll take that.
But it still needs to get back above VWAP. Well, my VWAP's at 316, so we'll see if that can trade above it. Mesa looks like it's trying to get above.
Yep. This was good. This was a great buy, Crow.
Yep.
Great buy on Mesa right there.
Yeah, 105 was the level. It went a little bit beneath that, but it looked like there were a lot of orders at the $1 level. So that was a good read.
EWTX continuing to print new highs this morning. My favorite stock in the entire stock market. You ready for this, guys? My favorite stock in the entire stock market, RF. Go figure. Ticker RF here. That's, of course, Regions Financial. This has had kind of a wild morning. It's back and forth there. I don't own any of this. I just like it because it's my initials.
Save back above 7. Starting to get some push here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But if you guys find the ability to trade this better than I think I can, then good luck to you. I think you're going to get a good trade, but be very, very careful.
To me, right now, a lot of this is about the volume. We get some of this volume to kind of turn around. We turn this selling volume into buying volume. The VWAP's right there. I mean, this could be, and we've been dancing around the 7 here pretty much since we opened.
Mm-hmm. DWAC had a pop up to 2670. It looks like about that area, and came back in. I'm still looking for this thing to get to 27 and go higher. It did that in the pre-market, but it couldn't hold above it. Didn't do it yesterday like I was looking for. So I'm still expecting it's going to try to get up that high today.
Guys, Dave Portnoy is currently live on X doing day trading. He's back to day trading earlier. Thanks to our producer, Alyssa, for tagging, for showing me this through Slack. He's back day trading. So he posted something earlier this morning that something about he hasn't been in the office. And then he says, what about day trading to come back? And so he's day trading again. So, you know, we always like to give and watch Dave and see what he's trading, but just wanted to share that with everybody.
Did he buy Save? I thought I read that he did.
Yes.
Is this
I
Portnoy?
believe, yes, Dave Portnoy. I believe we have an article on our.com that says from yesterday, shout out to our writer, Chris Catchy. He says that Dave Portnoy buys Save stock, loses 25%, makes it all back in a turbulent Spirit Airlines trading. Let me quickly scan this article. He tweeted yesterday that in a blog post that he bought a, quote, a ton of Spirit Airlines stock. And he Portnoy recalled being a huge Spirit Airlines guy back during his Davey day trader days of day trading stocks.
I'll never forget that, the Davey day trader days. He had a thesis building session literally on stream where he's like, even if you buy 4 of these airlines, even if one of them goes bankrupt and out of business, you're still gonna win. He was saying things like, "This is a can't lose." I love him to death. I think it's funny. I watch that stuff too, but take it with a grain of salt. David,
There's that MRI move.
Real quick, I'll go to MRAI in a sec. I wanted to address this, but I got all flustered talking about Dave Portnoy. Order flows trader. How about 195 Lotto on Tesla today? 13 and Ryan. Okay, a couple of things. Of course, all of the discussions here is for entertainment and educational purposes only. We cannot advise what you do with your money. We cannot advise what you should invest in, nor what you should trade, as we are not licensed. Now, with all of the legal mumbo jumbo behind us, what I will say here is if you think Tesla's going to kind of come back in, I like the idea of a 195 Lotto here today. We actually pushed right up into a resistance area. This was yesterday and in the pre-market where we kind of stopped and reversed. So this actually looks like pretty decent entry into that trade if you take it. Now, how you selected the 195, I don't know. The way I would do that is kind of looking at the price of the premium.
It's a previous price area that we got the reversal. It was from the end of October, beginning of November. That's where the low of 2023 was, I believe. No, I'm sorry. That's not the low of 2023. It's just a low that we had in 2023 when it was going down. I don't know about it going that low. The RSI on the daily is already pretty low itself. I think that if we start to get into, around 200, we could get a bunch of buying. That's my opinion. I don't think that Tesla is going to fare too well going lower. I think buyers will come in. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Mesa is pushing.
Let's take a look. Let me bring that up here. I see Jay talking about Mullen too, so it must be a good day here. Mesa pushing up to that pre-market high that I have of about 126. Sorry, 13.
No worries. Miles was mentioning B-Frog, and we were talking about that one too. Let me see if I can pull that one up because I thought that I saw a move brewing in that one as well. Yeah. Okay, so this one went up to for the 455 area. Pre-market high 471. Could definitely go back up to that. This one's holding VWAP right now, so that's the one thing I would want to see it continue to do.
Volume looks good right here. Pattern looks good right here. I think your levels are spot on, 13. We'll see if B-Frog ends up rolling here. Right back to the VWAP here. This might be an ad spot.
All right, looks like Mesa is about to push to 125. Might get rejected there, but eventually it could push through. And the next level I have after 125 is 140.
Here is Mesa.
MRAI pushing
that.
MRAI just straight up at low volume.
EWTX looks like that finally stopped here at 271 and came back in.
Yeah, it's at
Came right
a
back to the view app and bounced off of that. That was an easy one.
12.
Here's
Looks like
BFRG.
a good level in that one. $12. That looks like a good level. It's what the pre-market ran up to.
I tell you what, it sure looks like 460s coming here on BFRG. Jay is saying the breath is still lousy despite the semi move here. That bodes well for our down move in the SPY. Looks like it almost to the penny rejection at that 480 level.
Oh, just looking at some of these older ones, they're not really moving. Okay, there's B-Frog. We got the one of the 455 rejection. I think it could break through. I think we're going to see it move up through that. We just need that volume to keep on keeping on. All right, here we go. I think it's about to happen.
I'm sorry, I'm rolling through tickers here. I'll go back to Tesla here in a sec. Looks like DWAC still has some action here today.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up having action quite a bit throughout this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Order flow taking Tesla 202.5 put for a lotto. So there you go. So just be advised that is a lotto, right? So you're okay with that going to zero in case Tesla continues to rip right here. 213 looks like it's stopping on Tesla. This was definitely an area from recently, just a few days ago.
Let's see. Looks like things are starting to come back in a bit.
Rolling over.
Yeah. MRAI still breaking through. Man, this thing is just going through my my level that I had at 130 now. Next one is 146.
So we got some trading opportunities yesterday, and we're getting more here today. 135 is exactly where this stopped yesterday. That's where we're trading up here today on MRAI. Miles calling that one here in the chat. Love it.
Yeah, DWAC came into the level it was resistance earlier in the pre-market. Now it's support. Hopefully we get some kind of reversal action here with DWAC.
CCTG, that is Charlie Tango Golf, being called out in the chat here. That has been halted once here today, just resumed. I don't see it trading, though. It said it's resumed here. Halted again, 863, halted to the upside. Second halt of the day on CCTG. Looks like Crow is on that one.
There goes B-Frog. We got through the 455.
NVIDIA right back to VWAP here. This actually looks like NVIDIA is trying to push higher here. Here is B-Frog still waiting on that 470 test.
Yep, it's probably going to it needs to close this candle above that previous level we were talking about at 455, and then I'll be like, yeah, let's probably go to 471, 472. We got about 3.5 minutes left in this candle, so we'll see.
Okay. Here's Mesa, so MESA. This again, right up to that 122 spot that it stopped at previously. 122, 125, and then 134. My spots there on MESA.
Yeah, 125 is the level for Mesa.
And then through that 122 right there, 125 up next here.
Yep, you see all that that size there at 125. Watch that get eaten up if you know, if these buyers come in.
And then there's more size above that at 130, by the way.
Yep. So it looks like that block is a little bit too big at the moment.
Sometimes, so you know what, 13, if this is like, to borrow the Seinfeld analogy, this is very, taking these levels down is very much like knocking over a vending machine to get free snacks and drinks. You can't just walk up to the machine and push it over. You have to rock it back and forth a few times, and then it goes over. And that's exactly what the stock price has to do here with some of these bigger walls.
Yeah, Crow. I absolutely see that happening. I just want to. I mean, that size at 125 just continues to grow. But if we do get some more buyers that come in, then yeah, they're going to get absolutely destroyed, because that looks like it's a pretty key level. Looking more to the left, we had one big pop out of there yesterday after the close, and then it came right back in. Hasn't been able to really close above it since. So yeah, I agree.
Jay Rice mentioning JB Hunt here, saying JB Hunt bit of a fade. Didn't think the earnings were so hot. The market agrees with you, Jay. This thing has done nothing but sell off from those after hour and pre-market highs here on the backs of that earning, or on the back of that earnings report. I beg your pardon. One thing to note here, if we take a look at the daily chart, I could easily see this back testing the 20-day moving average. I've got that at 195.63. So that's about $2.30 away from it is.
EWTX new highs. I don't know where this thing stops. I don't have any levels for it.
Crow says, amazing analogy, Ryan. Do you remember the episode? Crow, I have a photographic encyclopedia of all things Seinfeld kicking up in my head there. I absolutely remember that. Jay Wild calling IRBT. This is iRobot. This was selling off big time this morning. Let's see what iRobot's doing. This actually looks like a pretty decent bounce play. Jay, I like this. This is a great call here. Looking at the first move here, we started to firm up a little bit in the pre-market. We pushed right out of the open, came back to the VWAP. Now it looks like we might be testing the top end of that here. iRobot 1250, let's call it. If we break through 1250 to the upside, maybe we can start gap filling. I mean, but this is a big gap. This goes all the way to 23.30. So that's 5 points in there. Maybe we don't fill the whole thing, but this might be a good trade here for today. Great call here, Jay. Now, the two J's came out swinging today. They came out swinging today. I love it.
It's a very good letter.
Indeed. Joe.
Looks like Save is getting a bounce here off the 65 EMA on the 5 minute. Interesting to watch this. It's coming up to VWAP. Don't know that we're going to get through it, but if you're bullish on this here, keep an eye on it.
Oh, I think I had the wrong down. I apologize, guys. I think I had the wrong screen up there. EWTX, by the way, off that VWAP bounce, going higher here. 13 looks to be the next spot there on EWTX. Let's take a look at Save here. This is continuing to move lower, staying below its VWAP. To me, the story for Save here is going to all be about the VWAP. If we can get above and build, we might be able to roll. Otherwise, I'm not sure we're going to get the bounce that we're looking for here. Ticker SAVE. PNST. Pinstripes Holding. The nice big push here on what is Pinstripes Holding? Is this the Pinstripe? Is an experimental drilling and entertainment dining and entertainment concept. Italian American cuisine with bowling and bocce. We've got Pinstripes right near where I live here. I personally think it's overpriced, but the actual facility looks awesome, and they do other things there, like host parties and weddings and stuff there, which actually I think would be pretty cool. Owns and operates about 13 restaurants in the U.S. Okay, so 13, one of them is right around the corner from me. How about that? Pinstripes, cool. Moving to the highs here.
MRAI had a huge knife. This is, this is what can happen with these, low volume ones. You're just going to get kind of a spread occurring. There's about a 3-cent one right now, but this is what can happen when you have these move up on a spready.
Look at that 13. Not only did we knife, but we knifed and crashed right to the VWAP.
Your VWAP. I went through mine.
Well, it actually did go through. I mean, technically it went through mine. I've got the value here at 124. Low print was 122. So technically it went through mine too. But for all intents and purposes here, we traded down to the VWAP and we bounced.
That iRobot bounce trade is pretty good. Looks like you got not a whole lot off of it, but that's a big gap to fill to the upside if anything positive comes out of this attempted acquisition by Amazon.
Yeah,
this is the EU turning around.
I'll be honest with you. The more I look at this after Jay's call here, the more disappointed I am in myself for missing this one, because I actually looked at this and I said to myself this morning, boy, iRobot, maybe that's one of the stocks that can kind of trade back up. And took it off my screen. We got a whole bunch of other stuff going on here. I would have loved to have added near VWAP here. 16. I got it at 1656, but 1660, 1675. That'd have been a great add here.
So, oh yeah, it would have been great, but this isn't Pokemon. You can't catch them all. So just
just Pokemon. You can't catch them all.
Just take what the market gives you.
The Friday vibes. The Friday vibes are great. Nick, were you ever a big Pokemon guy? Just out of curiosity.
I did play Pokemon Go for a few years, and then it just died off. I do have Pokemon cards from when I was little. I will say that.
Okay. Any of them worth any money? Because some of those Pokemon cards have some serious value.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to probably dig them out. Do you have any baseball cards, Ryan, or
Yes.
13?
Yes, I do. I kept some of my old sports cards. They're in a box in the corner of one of my closets. I don't even really know if I've got anything in there. What I do know is I actually still kept my Magic the Gathering cards. In fact, I still have my built decks, and some of those cards were actually worth money. I have no idea if Magic cards are worth money anymore.
I was a big Marvel fan back in the day, so I have a lot of different collector card sets, tins and holographics and whatnot. So that's about the extent of my card collecting goes.
Uh-oh. Did you lose me or did we lose 13?
I'm here.
Okay. Yep, we're back. When we have the internet snafus, I'm never sure who it's actually affecting. All right, folks, we've got Alyssa saying, don't get me started on Pokemon cards. What does this mean? I need everybody to go start tweeting Alyssa about Pokemon cards because we need to hear the different stories about some of these collectible cards. Jay Wild says, I still have Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh,
I don't know
I remember
what that
those.
is.
I remember those. Those are pretty unique. I want to say they reminded me a lot of Cabbage Patch, but I know they're two different things entirely.
Okay, folks, iRobot coming right back into the VWAP. This is where I said I would have liked it. We're taking 100 shares right here. We will see if we bounce here from this VWAP. If we continue to break down here, I'll just exit this and wait for this to set up. But let's see here. iRobot back to the VWAP. This is what we were just watching. Crow saying that oh, you know what? I had the wrong screen up. Apologize for that, but let's check this out. CCTG. This is the Halt Fest stock of the day. Looks like this is pushing away from the VWAP here. We actually have a high print of 1035. We're $1 under that here. Yikes.
Quite a spread on this one, too.
Yeah, this is spread.
Looks like MRAI is trying to push back above 130.
Beach Bum, I bet you have some real valuable cards in there. In fact, if you have some of those original Savannah Lion cards, those are like $80-$100 a pop.
Man, Some people have some real equity in these collector cards.
I tell you, and look, like if I had more time and patience, because I don't play Magic anymore, if I had more time and patience, I might go through an inventory and sell some of them, get some spending cash, a little wine fund on the side there. But I just, I just haven't done that yet. Mystery Man saying, growing up, my dad has a comic book shop back in the early 90s. Oh, God, I bet that was unbelievable. We had thousands of dollars worth of comics from them. My mom foolishly sold them for $650. Everyone's got a story like that. In fact, I've got a Ryan Sandberg autographed rookie card and a letter signed by him because when I was born, my mom wrote to him and he was kind enough to send a letter back. My mom took that card, that Ryan Sandberg autographed rookie card, and pinned it to my bulletin board. So that card now has a bunch of little pinholes in it. That's okay, though. It's actually one of my prized possessions. I don't need to sell that. I have a friend that paid rent from Magic the Gathering cards for a few months. Wow.
So what was the landlord like a dungeon master or something?
Yeah. 13 will never miss out on an opportunity to take one like that. Okay. Crows, I'm going to try to get us back here. It's a Friday. I'm feeling a little frisky. We're having some fun on a Friday. Got the alliteration going here. Mesa definitely breaking down here. This looks like this is going to the lows here. $1 test looks like it's coming here on MESA. All of a sudden, it looks like the position that I'm in is the better one. MESO still holding up here. Not really going. I'm down a little bit on it. Let's see if we can't pop to and through that VWAP. MESO.
Save kind of just going sideways right now, but it looks to me like if it continues to hang out here below my VWAP, that we're probably going to break this 65 EMA at about 660 and go lower.
Yeah, I was going to say Save might have found its near-term bottom here. We'll see if the volume actually kind of turns around and makes a move through the VWAP. Jay saying in quotes here, Rhino. Bingo, Jay, you hit it right on the head. The nickname from my dad growing up all of those years was, in fact, Rhino. He was a big Ryan Sandberg fan, too. Nice connection right there.
EWTX, new highs. That thing keeps pushing after it takes a short breather.
And look, that move back down to the VWAP set up another trade here, EWTX. This was another great call from our chat this morning. Jonathan, looks like your target here is 1430 on EWTX. Giddy up.
Mesa might be trying to come back here. It did fall beneath that 115 level that I have, so that's not too encouraging. It does have a pretty good amount of supply to get through in order to come back up.
Charlie just mentioned Disney. I actually don't have the squawk on today. Shame on me. Let's see what Disney is doing. Disney pushing to the highs here. See if we could get some news on that Disney. That's probably involving Nelson Peltz and the Tryon Fund with the proxy fight. Let's see if we can get some news on that one. Nothing printed yet in the news feed. That's how fast Charlie was giving you that news.
It might be related to some after hours news, which there isn't much that I have here.
No, the only thing I see, guys, on my screen is Disney, MasterCard, and Visa are currently at highs for this morning.
Okay, then I think he was probably calling that up at the highs then.
Oracle's, I was going to say Oracle's at its highs, Meta, Google highs, SMCI at its highs. S&P 500 information technology sector scales fresh record high according to data. So it's just like this new push. We have the S&P 4792 watching a record close. We have Apple news. I don't know. It's just kind of this morning where we're trying to, I don't know if the buyers are coming back in, the bulls are trying to take over after somewhat, I don't want to say muted week, but like some declines for the week.
BFRG looks like Jay Summers. You're just playing the back and forth here on BFRG. This is doing a real good job of finding support at the VWAP and then making a move. These moves, I guess, all measure just about the same.
I traded this BFRG quickly this morning, and that's the only trade I have going on. I'm not in anything else right now. Just looking for some good entry levels. Mesa, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking I want to get into Mesa, but the volume seems to have evaporated quite rapidly in this one.
Okay, taking a look at some of the day trading positions here. Looks like iRobot, that one is not working out here as we're breaking down beneath the VWAP. I think if we break down beneath 16, we'll close this one. MESO, we took that for a move to and through the VWAP. That's not breaking down yet, so maybe this is still on. I'm going to stay in that position until we actually get some movement. And Zim looks like that sell-off today has stopped, at least so far. We found a bottom here. We're right back to VWAP here on Zim.
SPY's moving up on a data dump. We just got existing home sales for December and Michigan consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment, not really, you know, I don't think the greatest of indicators, but that U.S. Existing home sales, that's something I'm gonna have to.
U.S. existing home sales for December, 3.78 million versus 3.82 million estimate. The prior reading was 3.82 as well, so that's a little soft there on the number. Yeah. That Michigan consumer sentiment for January, 78.8 versus 70 estimate. Prior reading was 69.7, so that's a little hot on that print.
Ryan, we are getting some new inflation data right now that's just crossing the wires. The year ahead inflation expectations at 2.9%. That's the lowest since 2020. Michigan 5 to 10 year inflation expectations fell to 2.8 versus 2.9. Trying to get some other data here for the, and Michigan Jan current conditions rose to 83.3 versus 73.3. But going back to your consumer sentiment, that's the best number since we've had since July of 2021.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Nick. BFRG pushing up to the high end of the range. NVIDIA through VWAP looking like that might try to make a run here as well.
Looks like Ally Financial is getting mentioned in the chat, and looks like it's moving up off earnings. Their conference call is happening right now. Okay. Oh no, it's concluded. I'm sorry, it's done. But they did release earnings.
iRobot moving to the lows here. I'm approaching my max pain here on iRobot.
Spirit broke through VWAP out of that consolidation. Now we're coming up to about a 715 area where there's some supply to get through. This one might start getting going if the volume continues to come in like it has been.
Yes, sir. We might, especially if we build above the VWAP here. I got a little bit of size at 715 and a little bit more at 719.
MRAI is also trying to get back above 130. tested it a couple times.
That looks like that's making a run at its highs here too. MRAI.
Yeah, so it looks like things are starting to come back. EWTX, even higher now. 1350 is the high.
What a trade this was, Jonathan. Yeah. Shout out. This was the trade of the day so far here.
Saying, oh wow, okay, so both B-Frog popped up to that 472 level I was talking about, got up to 477, came right back in. Now we're now down to the 430s.
I'm still watching IRBT here. Sure looks like a 16 test is coming. Intraday low of day test right here. We'll see if we end up getting that here. This is where the stock bounced earlier right out of the open. There we are on the low here. Let's see if we break this. If we do, we probably break through 16. And we'll wait for a new setup here on iRobot.
All right, save trying to hold above 7. Looks like
AMD definitely trading down here. We had a happy hour member cover up their short yesterday on AMD. Crassy's back. Crassy, I thought you were gone. The vacuum is horrible, iRobot. I also hear that like they map out your house. People can hack into it. Like, forget that, dude. I will use my Dyson. My Dyson doesn't map my house out and send that information to China. Big break here on iRobot through that 16. Yikes. I want to see if this recovers here. But if we keep moving lower here, this unfortunately, I bought this one at the highs. I did not do a good job on this one. Probably should have looked at Tuna's MACD indicator here. That probably would have saved me.
CCTG was the one that was getting halted up, right?
Yeah, there were two already upside halts. In fact, let's see.
Now it's going down.
Still have two. Yep.
Mesa is trying to hold above the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, producing some long bottom wicks, which may indicate that bulls are trying to push this up, not try to go much lower. So we'll see, but be careful with this when the volume is much lower now.
Trying to wait this iRobot sell-off out. Maybe we can regain 16 and move back towards the VWAP. I see a little bit of a size building on the offer now at 16, so they're going to have to clear that out. Market Sniper says he just got an iRobot vacuum and it's great.
I have one.
How does it work? Is it worth it? I mean,
the wife wanted it. I don't like it.
Oh, so okay. Well, happy wife, happy life. So yes, it works. Okay, great. Now,
I'll say this about it. It helps with the nuance of constantly having to sweep all the time.
Yeah.
So there's that, but it's not going to do a perfect job, but it helps keep things manageable.
Okay.
Save still holding above 7.
I'm still watching iRobot here for a potential bounce since I'm underwater on this trade, but call out anything else that you see. We'll take a look at Meso here. Looks like that really just kind of died and dried in terms of the volume. Yeah, this is just holding in a range here. Would love to see a volume expansion pop here on Meso Blast. See if we get it. Not holding up good hopes for it. Or high hopes for it, I guess I should say.
One of the things
that I being called, sorry, 13.
It's okay. Oh, DWAC, there we go. Yeah, one of the things I was noticing yesterday was how the market reacted positively to the possibility of a stopgap funding measure going through, and it's looking like more and more likely that that's happening, which is positive for the market. DWAC breaking through that 27 level that I was talking about earlier. Next one I have is 29.
Yeah, I actually have some resistance here at 28. That was going to be your intraday high area from 117 just a few days ago. We'll see where we end up going there.
Yeah, it looks like Mesa's about done. It's down to a
Alexander saying they're great vacuums. They just map your entire house and sell the data to your local police force.
Live in a small town. Let's see how they can afford that.
Try that in a small town, huh? 13. By the way, DWAC moving up towards 28 here. We'll see if that gets taken. Crow saying he doesn't think Mesa, that's MESA, is worth holding. That is looking weak below its VWAP here. MESO, which is the one that I took, not looking like it's breaking down. A little bit more worried about my IRBT position at this point. That does not seem to have the juice.
Yeah, we got
NVIDIA, by the way, on its last cross through the VWAP was unable to keep going up. We're now beneath the VWAP on NVIDIA. That's been just kind of trading in a range here.
As being mentioned by Jay Summers, B-Frog jumped back. He jumped back into it. Okay, for a little bounce there, because there was a level at 428 that I had where there was some support. So good trade.
NVIDIA really starting to accelerate to the downside here. NVDA.
DWAC whacked at 28.05.
Yeah, that went right up to that resistance area and stopped 13. In fact, you can see it right here on this 1 hour chart. Look at this, right up there and bang, dead stop at that resistance area. I got the VWAP here, 26.49, so we'll see if this comes back in and sets up again for another upside move, but that's where we're at here on DWAC for you DWACers out there.
A couple of days ago when this first started moving quite a bit, got up to a regular session high of 28.70. That's what I've got. So I still think 29 is on the books if we can maintain this volume that we had so far this morning.
You know, that reminds me, what is the short interest here on DWAC? Maybe this is a squeeze effect going on.
Possibly. Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Short interest on DWAC. I've got it at 7.38% of its float short at 8.81 days to cover. Yeah, there's definitely some juice in there for a short covering move.
And on the daily, well, we're really extended on the daily, but we're coming up and pushing through the 500-day SMA. And there's we're coming up to 29 is actually where quite a bit of resistance exists between there and about 33.50. So pushing through that might take a little bit of time.
Aramis mentioning the SQQQ here, decent mention here. When I trade these ETFs, I really like to keep entry around VWAP because a lot of the times they like to spread and move away from the VWAP, and that's the kind of repeatable pattern that you can trade here. Right now, I'd really like for this to come back in towards this VWAP. We actually just had really good entry on this not long ago. This is betting that the tech continues to roll over here. If you take a look at the NASDAQ chart, we're definitely looking like we want to roll over some more here. Again, as far good job trading this one. As far as my trading plan on this, I definitely want to stick a little bit closer to the VWAP. I know it's only 7 cents at this point, so maybe that's kind of doesn't really matter, but that's in terms of strategy here. That's what I'm looking at. Currently hanging out at 13 on SQQQ.
Check out SBGI. It's not moving right now, hardly at all, but it has got a pretty interesting setup going right now. And
yeah, sure does.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a big move coming out of here in a moment.
So 13, it's interesting. We talked about this. In fact, let me go back to the pro chart here because it's actually a little bit easier to see since I have it bigger. Okay, let's go ahead and chart this because we talked about this being. I thought this was a fairly interesting play. SGBI.
Oh, yeah.
SBGI.
Yep.
Come on, Rhino.
New highs in EWTX, by the way. What a monster.
Okay, so here's Sinclair, right? Now, we talked about Sinclair as being a potential play here on political advertising. We developed this thesis after watching how DWAC was trading and reacting to some of its news. Now, first of all, on the daily chart here, we've got great formations. We've got a great formation. We've got great data here on the daily chart. We had a big pop off the bottom that took us above the 200-day. We used that 200-day as resistance several times over time as we shook out some of those weak hands. You can actually see in the volume chart down here that the selling volume predominantly turned to buying volume. And now we've actually moved through the 200-day. We took the top off at 1552 here. I know we've traded right beneath it. To me, it sure looks like this is going to try and push higher here, 13, as far as setups here. Now, the other setup, if we look at the 1 hour chart, sure looks like this is pushing and curling, and maybe we actually move through this. Was there anything else that you saw here on this chart that we should highlight, 13?
I'm only looking at the 5 minute, and that's what caught my attention is that we were curling up. We made some pre-market lows around 1462, and we've recovered from that, and now we're above VWAP on my chart and holding. So I'm looking for some more volume to come in, and this thing could get really moving, probably up to the 1530s, and then maybe even higher.
Bingo. Great call on that. We'll see if we end up getting that here. SBGI. So are you long that currently?
No, I'm not, because I don't know. The volume is so low on this that I'm just going to be a watcher.
I got you. Okay, let's go back to trade the pool. See where we're sitting. So, all right. So this was Sinclair.
Stave going higher. It's trying to push up through 720 where there's some selling pressure, and at 718, but it gets through that. I think it needs to get up through the 736, 735 area before it can start moving some more.
Lynn, absolutely love hearing this. Use Charlie's squawk to short Disney at 93.27, shorting it right near the high here. Looks like you've already got about a point on that short. Great job here, Lynn, utilizing the tools in Benzinga Pro to bring you information and then get yourself paid. You love to see it, Lynn.
Disney's been difficult for me because I don't want to day trade this one. This would be something I would get into for a long term position. It's showing it's got a something of a bullish pattern formation, but at the same time, I have been so unimpressed with their content and their management that I just don't want to be in this one right now.
Yeah, it's a big one for me too, 13. I mean, I don't think their content is any good at all, frankly. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you've got a proxy fight going on with the board now. I mean, unless you have some insight into that, I don't know. Yeah. Terry is saying Diz is an easy buy at 89 and a sell at 93. So Terry's looking to play that range there, 89 to 93. That is actually where the 200-day is actually at 89.49 right now. You can see on the daily chart, we did break beneath it very, very little. So it acted as pretty good support here, and then did trade back up to the top of the range. So there you go, Terry. Been in a range for months, Terry says. Months. Yeah, the 10-year here, 4.2. I've got 4.196 as my exact reading, but Nick's right on there.
And the market is still up. That's interesting. The bonds and yields are up, and the market's up.
IWM is down though, isn't it? Let me bring that up here. Yep, IWM is red here. So
yep, VIX is down near 13.86.
I don't think that can last, honestly.
Yeah.
That VIX is going to have to start going at some point.
You know, it's interesting about the IWM. I had that 188.09 level, and that I got from, what was this, like January 2022. It bounced right off that level, and it's still holding above it. I don't think that the story with IWM is over. We could see it come back up more. That's just my thought.
If you had to pick a top pick for 2024, this is going for 13 and Ryan, what would you pick? If you had one stock, top picks.
First of all, great question, Nick.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me. I'd probably be looking at the ones that were the most beat up, that have good cash flow. And,
I was just thinking the same thing.
And aren't going to be too heavily affected by rates. Now, some of the ones that are affected by rates, if we do get the cuts when they're hoping to cut them, they could do really, really well. I think that maybe some utility companies could do well this year too, as we get those rate cuts, and as they were beaten up pretty bad last year as well. So I don't have a single stock though.
Well, I was going to say to that point, because some of the top picks rolling in this morning from Citi was Marvell, BMO was Square or Block. Morgan Stanley was ASML, Deutsche was Starbucks, Raymond James, NVIDIA, and then even back in December 21st, we had Baird saying NVIDIA, Google, Meta, Pins, JPM was XPO, Evercore was Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Citi, RBC's Bank of America. So it sounds like banks, NVIDIA still is part of that top pick. You have Boeing, Marvell, Mag 7. Do you kind of think that the Mag 7 is going to make the market go up again, or are we going to get that rotation? I think I brought this up Wednesday.
Yeah, I think tech was leading last year, right?
Yes.
So I think tech is probably going to not lead again. I would probably look for something in the utility or the energy sector, which were the laggards last year, and make that as my pick for the year.
I think energy is probably going to do better in the later half of the year when we get in a better idea of
Yeah, I agree.
if it looks like we're going to have a Trump presidency, then we're probably going to get a better year for energy in the later half of the year.
Yeah, I would
It seems
agree
like
with that.
the market has been seemingly trying to price in a Trump presidency win. We've noticed this with, and I don't want to get too political about it, but we've noticed this with green energy stocks taking a dive unless there's some good rate news. That's the only reason they've popped. Everything else that's more conservative side or conservative administration is tending to start to rise a bit more now. To answer the question that you posed though, Nick, I'll say this. I did recently add and put limit orders out for Starbucks because I think that that's going to be a long-term thing for me, 1 to 2 years. And also Abbott Labs. We had a discussion about how the GLP drugs that are coming out that are getting really popular, like Ozempic and whatnot, they could lead to malnutrition because people aren't eating as much and they still need to get protein and vitamins and minerals in them. So because Abbott has Ensure and Pedialyte and all these different nutrition drinks that they could do well. That's the angle I'm playing. Abbott is already a great company for other reasons, but that's the angle with them I'm playing.
Yeah, I mean, do you expect like healthcare stocks, United Health? Do you expect like the drug makers, Pfizer, Moderna? Can we expect some kind of upward trend for their earnings, or do you think since basically the pandemics are over, that boost of the vaccine is going to really start to drop off and hurt them a little bit in revenue at least?
Well, I would go back to before the pandemic to see what they were at, and we're actually, when it comes to Pfizer, I'll use that one as an example. We're below where we were before the pandemic, so I'd expect there to be some recovery off this massive drop that we've had, and because they also make other things, and I think one of the other big things about Pfizer that's also pulling them down was they had a warehouse. I think it was a damage from a natural disaster or something. I don't remember the entire story, but that's another reason why I think Pfizer took a hit. That one could recover. I'm actually in the medical device space, like Medtronics, MDT. I think that's a pretty good space to be in for this year. And it's a play on the fact that older generations have more money. So, and they're also going to be needing some of these devices. So I don't think that those companies that are making these devices are going to really have problems because there's going to be demand for them. So MDT is one that I'm in for the long haul, and I think that one's going to do good.
The other side is the weight loss drugs, right? The GLP inhibitors are making so people don't need this as much. And the question is, how much does that actually going to scale, right? Is that going to take a material chunk out of some of these medical device businesses? Be interesting to see how this one plays out.
I was going to say regarding Tesla, Charlie Bolello has a chart out this morning saying the average price of a used Tesla, this is monthly data via Car Gurus, January 2019 to Jan 2024. The average price of a used Tesla has declined 18 months in a row, moving from a record high of $67,900 in July of 2022 to a record low of $35,844 today. That's down 47%.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing across the board with EVs. The EVs are really struggling right now. The demand is just not there. Neither is the infrastructure, by the way. And the attempt to try and force this on people was a huge overstep, and you're starting to see the repercussions for that.
Tesla, it's printing lower. I don't know how much lower this goes. It seems like every time it makes a new low, buyers come in and try to snap it up, and then they get creamed. That's just what it's looking like right now. There's a lot of headwinds, like you were mentioning, for Tesla. It's just that it's so oversold. I have to think that technical buyers are going to come in and be like, hey, this is good opportunity here, and that's the ones that are probably buying and getting creamed, like I said. I don't know about 195 though. That seems pretty far away. Not to say that it couldn't happen, but I don't think it's likely, in my opinion. But that's why we have a market, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, I definitely see a potential downside spot here at 195, and this is 190. Well, maybe not 195, 196.
MRAI looks like it's trying to come back, but I think that one's done.
Yeah, and really quickly, the other thing about Tesla, EV cars really having a rough year because there are a bunch of dead Teslas that will not start across the Midwest in this cold. They simply cannot hold up.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see how Musk flips this with those because it's really just the batteries that they're having problems with, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. IRBT back at VWAP. Let's see if we can get going here, man. Bail me out of this one. MESO, this thing is just dead, just range bound, pinned right in the middle of that range. So we'll wait on this one. We'll see.
Jay saying he's seeing a lot of put selling on Tesla. I'm just looking at the RSI and I'm thinking, well, this is very, very extended to the downside. There's going to probably be. I mean, we did have a bounce on Tuesday. I just don't know how low it's going to go before this gets snapped back up. Maybe 200. Maybe 200 is the level. But as I was saying, it's not out of the question. It just looks unlikely to me. EWTX trying to push new highs. It's made a new high of 1375. This was the one today, I think, that was looking the best, has the most strength. Might be rolling over here, though, so be careful. Save, still pushing up higher, very slowly, though. We're back up to 725. It just made a high in.
Yep.
Or 727, I'm sorry.
Crassy saying same in Philly. Lines at Wawa superchargers are long. Hearing 2-hour charge at the superchargers.
I think there's other environmental impacts that offset the benefit to the environment. But yeah, that's the amount of water that's required to put out the fires when they do happen is
and they happen much more frequently.
They're starting to, it looks like. I think quality might be diminishing. All right, Save just got a little bit of a smackdown there, but still above 7.
Richard says lithium burns best underwater. That is, I don't know if that's true or not, but that is a scary thought. I'll tell you that much.
It's really a matter of just getting this battery situation ironed out. And I don't think while we're using lithium ion, that's going to be resolved. I think once we start seeing these solid state batteries start rolling out and getting production going with those, that could be a big solver of the issue. We'll have to just pay attention and see what happens.
IRBT did reclaim that VWAP. Looks like this is curling up here. That's exactly what I wanted to see. IRBT. Richard says, I'm leaning on my chemistry degree. How often do you say that, by the way? How often do you say you're leaning on? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Voodoo, good morning. Hope you are well. Voodoo says solid state batteries are the way to go. I will say, I think the whole battery technology thing is the most interesting angle in EVs. I think there will probably be another generational leap there that will solve a lot of problems, and then we'll re-examine how feasible this actually is for everybody, or to increase its scale.
Absolutely. If you look at vehicle evolution from just internal combustion engines, we've had like over 100 years of development with that, and we're still pretty new with the whole EV and battery space. So there's going to be lots of changes and improvements that are going to be happening over the years. I still think EVs will eventually be the most cars on the road, but it's going to be some time before that happens.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I just think that the time frame that this was tried to be crammed in is just not feasible. That's basically my big thing with the whole movement. I would agree with you, though. I would imagine as the technology and as the R&D gets better and better and better, there will be a market for this, right? There will absolutely be a market for this. People don't want to pay for gas. It's the same argument people have with the oil companies. Oil companies' biggest capex hit is removing the oil from the ground. You're telling me that if an oil company finds a way to provide power without having to spend that much money to remove the resource from the ground, that they won't do it? Come on. That's silly. That's a silly argument.
B-Frog here just had a nice pop about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and now we're getting close to the highs we made in the regular session of 477.
Jay mentioning ALB, that's Albemarle. We actually talked about this on the happy hour show yesterday. Jay saying, in the meantime, ALB is laying off people. Albemarle is the largest lithium producer. If you look at the daily chart here, this last move up, this was what, end of December? This move up to 150. We have faded about 30 points of that move here. This chart not looking good here on Albemarle. At some point, this is a buy. I've been turning it over to you guys to tell me when.
Yeah, look at that daily chart.
I know it's rough.
Third visit here. I don't know that level is going to hold. What is this level anyway? We'll call it what, 113, 112.
I've got it at 110 here. Let me see. No, excuse me, 13. It's one. I've got it at 112.
Okay, so yeah, 112.
Yep.
That's looking like the make or break level there. So if it doesn't hold that, or if it starts closing beneath it, looks like there could be some more downside. I'd probably take under 100 might be where this thing ends up bottoming if we break down there. B-Frog.
All right, let me flip over to B-Frog. iRobot continuing its curl up here, so you love to see it here. Miso's still hanging in there. Let me go back to Pro. We'll take a look here at BFRG. Let me actually go over to my main workspace so we can also take a look at the scanner. DWAC, by the way, let me make sure this is updating. 2651 I have there for DWAC. We had BFRG, right? That is on the scanner here. BFRG.
It's really trying to hammer those regular session highs.
Yep.
Yeah. I think in just a bit here, maybe in the next 5 minutes or so, we could see it push through that 472 again.
I was going to say, Ryan, real quickly, CNBC is reporting that bankruptcy talks are out there for Save. Looking at the shares, they are off high, still about 22%, but on the chart that I'm looking at, you can see like the tipping point of this, and you can see a little bit of a downward pressure on the headline, but still up 22%. Just wanted to shout out our high squawk guy, Michael. He brought this news via Twitter, so just watch Save.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing that, right? We've been kind of thinking that Save has a potential bankruptcy end game here, and that would be the one thing, obviously, to stay away from. But all right, folks, if you like the trading and the discussion here today, smash up the like for my man 13 and my man Nick Brown, who is trading his time off of school to spend with you and deliver you news drops. Nick, we really appreciate that. Smash up the like for my two guys here. Also, again, just a reminder, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool, probably the best prop firm out there. Go ahead and give them a shot as well. And stick around because we've got the Raz report coming up after our show here today. Be sure to give us some likes here. Jason Raznick.
There's the move.
On what? Sorry.
B-Frog. There's the move.
Can you go back to it?
Yep. There's the move we were looking for.
13, you were telegraphing this one. Breakout above 470 here, B-Frog.
Yeah. Yep. And in the same time frame, it was going to happen in this candle. It just looked that way with these EMAs crossing the VWAP. And we're probably going to get another one that takes us to 5.
Wisdom's got money in his eyes. Let's go. You love to see it. Let me finish off the read here for the Raz report so Jason doesn't slap me upside my head. Jason Raznick interviews Anthony Zhang, CEO of VinoVest, discussing wine and whiskey investments. Maybe I should tune into this on a little Friday here. How about that? Market expansion, risk management, and more. Anthony shares his entrepreneurial journey, challenge, and passion for owning a vineyard. God, maybe I want to own a vineyard at some point. I'm definitely going to tune in for this. Listen to the full episode and more on the Raz Report coming up right after live trading here.
I was going to say, if I could jump in here real quick, Raz and the Raz Report always has great episodes. We always have a great episode. Benzinga is the best place for interviews and short clips. I don't know if you headed over to our TikTok, guys, but we do have a TikTok, and we do, like Aaron Bree and the guys in the office, they do different short clips of different hot topics and hot takes. Luke, part of our team here, he has a good episode every once in a while here on YouTube. So we have a lot of fun-filled activities, fun-filled stories, but the Raz Report's always grabbing my attention just because of the guys that they have on and the episodes that they do and the topics they dive into, something that you can't get anywhere else.
Agreed. And you know what else about the Raz report, Nick? Anyone that's met Raz for 5 minutes knows that Raz has a question that he wants to ask. By golly, he's going to ask it. Okay, there is nothing that is off limits here, and that actually makes these podcasts quite good.
And he will hunt you down for that answer until he gets the answer.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. That is some funny stuff.
Looking around from other stuff.
I live to have Raz's confidence. Alyssa, if you could bottle that and sell it, we had a multi-million-dollar idea on our hands right there.
B-Frog pulled back after it reached 490. It's still holding above the 455 level that I had there. Just waiting to see if it can get back above 472 and take it back up to 5. That's what I'm looking for. But if the volume doesn't push it through there, then have to wait and see what becomes of it. I noticed that AULT, another slow-moving stock right now, kind of has a pretty good setup. Not sure if this is going to go anywhere. It's also a penny stock, but let me take another look at SPGI because I wanted to see how that ended up playing out.
Yeah, good idea. Real quickly, AULT, we got a very short synopsis from Jay Rice the other day. Quote, "This stock is garbage," end quote.
Okay. I'm not suggesting anybody buy it.
Hey, look, we're out here having some fun. That's it.
Yeah, SPGI did get a pop all the way up to 1519 shortly after I mentioned it. Now it's come back in, so didn't look like it's going to do what I was looking for. But oh well, small trade there. What else do we have going on? Anybody else seen anything? Because it's looking like the market's pulling a bit. Looks like, because Save is pulling, Mesa's pulling, EWTX is pulling after a huge run. Everything's pulling right now, it looks like. Except for MRAI. That one's starting to recover after it pulled. Oh yeah, MD. We did look at Save and Portnoy today. We absolutely did. Something about so frogs are jumping like chickens with no heads. That's a good analogy. I'll take it. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that either. I'm trying to picture that in my mind, what that would look like.
I'm actually using energy to not picture that right now, so that's good. MESO, this might be finally breaking down here. Nope, not yet. Not breaking on the bottom of its range. I do have my stop set. We're not quite there yet, so we'll see on MESO. That trade didn't work. IRBT right back up to that 16 handle, so that little sell-off was met. We'll see if this pushes away. I'll hang on to this. And that Zim, talked about that earlier, and I'm, of course, sharing the wrong screen here. LOL.
That spready one, CCTG, looks like it wants to try to make another go.
Yeah, Zim definitely, that intraday bottom looks like that's been put in here now on Zim. IRBT looks like that's popping here. Let's get IRBT going. Let's see a 1750 break here. IRBT trading up here. Let's go. All right, I'm going to keep this one up here. If you guys have anything else, shout it out here, but I want to manage this one. I want to see if we snap that 1750. This thing moves pretty good here. Got a little bit of size above. We'll see if we can end up getting this to work.
It looks like just a bunch of volume has just left the market for the time being. Might get some of these that we've been trading today and looking at. They might pop later. That's just been kind of what's been happening later on in the day. Usually after some of these large institutional traders get back from their lunch break around 1 Eastern. You tend to see some of these move after that. Just keep them on your radar if you're trading that long.
Yep.
Still looking for, okay, it looks like CCTG is about to make that move. Still spready. I'm not in it.
I don't, you know what? I don't have that here in the pool. Let's go ahead and load this up. CCTG. It's actually not even appearing on my scanner here. That 10 move, man.
Yeah, it's up 21.5% right now. Still very, it's got a pretty good 20-cent spread right now, but it's really trying to break out of this level that we put in earlier in the morning at around about 950 ish. Yeah.
So this is funny here. I'll shout this one out. This is a blast from the past. So order flow trader saying die TSLA die. Now I don't know where order flow trader got this. I don't know who this is behind the handle, but what I can tell you is that this die ticker die chat pattern, this actually started in Benzinga Pro. There were a number of stocks. People were cheerleading them to the downside as we continue to have sell-offs. This was very, very popular during COVID, but also before COVID. So order flow, I think that you come from the OG camp of Benzinga Pro, and I can appreciate that. But he's not a masochist, right? This is just this is a inside Benzinga Pro joke that order flow trader is busting out here in live trading.
Yes, Nick Sanders. CCTG was an IPO. Looks like they IPO'd yesterday? Yeah. They halted a whole bunch then. They IPO'd at $4 a share. Yep. Well, what are you guys looking at? I after we're done with this, I'm just going to go and look and see what long-term positions there are out there for buying, because that's the only thing that sounds really interesting to me today. Everything else just seems like it's just going to be very slow.
Yeah, we've kind of had a slow week 13, and we're kind of just rolling that into the weekend here. I would imagine things are going to pick up next week as earnings pick up. What do you think?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Nick didn't even wait for you to get an answer. He's just going to answer himself. How about that?
Yeah. We got a good amount of earnings next week, and we also have GDP and PCE at the end of the week. Those are two big things I'm going to be watching for.
Yeah, once we get into earnings season, basically it is all crowded and the sectors move because of the stocks that are reporting. There's a lot of reflection. So next week is going to be crazy, even into month end. I know our producer, everybody asks who's building the earnings and economic calendar. Our producer, Alyssa, actually is building that right now. So we will have that up for the week later on over the weekend. I'm normally the one that posted it over the weekend, but lots of earnings, lots to get to. And I know live trading, pre-market prep will have you guys covered, even though I'll be in school taking notes on earnings. Ryan and 13 and everybody else who joins the show will probably be covering earnings.
Oh, we will definitely be. But you know what, Nick? I'll go a step further. If the winds of winter shift and blow a whole bunch of snow above where you live, you might be joining us too.
Ryan, it's going to be 61 degrees here next week.
Never mind. Never mind that I did not look at the weather forecast. By the way, those earnings graphics, shout out to Alyssa for making those, and the economics graphics. I post those on my Twitter all of the time, especially when the weeks are big. Sometimes I'm tracking her down, being like, "Hey, where are those graphics at?" And she's like, "Hey, chill. I'm still making them. I'll give it to you when I'm done." And then, of course, she gives it to me when she's done with it. So a lot of people are after those graphics. They are awesome. They actually really, really help me. Just at a glance, real quick, allow me to know what's going on and when I can make plans for that.
Look at this B-Frog. It's really trying to get that $5 print. Went up to $4.95 in this current candle.
A lot of work goes into those, it seems.
And it shows.
EFRG 5 test coming here, 13.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next level. It's really having a time, though. It might just, shoot through it, too, if there's a big buyer that comes in, gobbles up that supply. SPGI, no. EWTX trying to recover. Save is looking to be saved. Yeah.
I was going to say, we also have another show, 13, real quick. Luke Jacoby will be joining at noon for his discover the disaster of the day, celebrate the wild winner of the day, and get ready for an exclusive hot stop pick Powerball with Luke Jacoby coming up after the Raz report at noon. I know Luke has been starting this show up, and I've always kind of tuned in to see what it's like. Luke has so much energy, and it's like unbelievable how much energy that guy has. I want like half of his.
Just wait until you go to the office and you observe a full day, which, by the way, is not from 9 to 5. It's more like 7 to 9. Okay. When you observe that, you will really marvel at the amount of energy that the man has.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
He's got energy and he gets your attention. He keeps you focused.
Yes.
Man, they are really trying to reject that $5 level with B-Frog. Now they're starting to put in sell orders beneath $5, trying to push it down. Let's see, Wisdom. I already know you're positive in this. Make that money, man. Anybody else seen anything?
No, I'm not seeing anything else. Everything kind of slowed down here. I am looking at the SPY here. It looks like maybe that's curling up and going to take away some of the negate some of the losses that we had here early. Maybe that does go higher here, but in terms of setups, I don't really see anything. I've been looking at the Twitter streets as well. Don't see a whole lot out there.
I was just going to say the tone around the economy and what has been happening has drastically shifted in the last 48 hours. In the last 48 hours, we've gotten these headlines. Americans are finally feeling better about the economy. Inflation expectations a year ahead of University of Michigan, lowest level since December of 2020. S&P 500 ends near record high as AI optimism lifts chip makers. And retail sales up strongly in December as Americans showed continued willingness to spend in the last 48 hours.
What is this off of what they read in the beige book?
No, that's just in general with inflation expectations coming down. Consumer spending is not letting up. I mean, consumers are still spending. I mean, just the tone of we're coming into a recession. We're going to be in a full recession in October. What they say, 2023, we're going to have a full-on recession to the economy is booming.
Well, first of all, let's remember that the current administration changed the definition of a recession as to avoid it. Number one. Okay, so let's throw that out there. Number two, I think that the consumer is actually tightening. How much of that consumer spending is going on credit cards? And 13, you talked earlier about waiting to see some of that credit card default data. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a little bit more time. I'm not surprised to hear some really positive headlines, but I'll tell you what, the disconnection between Main Street and Wall Street is significant.
Yeah.
Are you trying to launch a new show, Ryan? The disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street?
Yeah, well, let's call it the disconnect with Ryan Faloona.
I'm going to play it as it is. I got enough. We're not trying to launch any new shows, at least not yet.
Yes, MD is absolutely right. Credit card debt is crazy high. It was already crazy high last year, and it's been gotten even worse.
Exactly.
In addition to that, you also have these other avenues of racking up debt with the buy now, pay later system that you have with PayPal, some of these other companies. You have it with some. I think Shopify has some kind of avenue for that. That just compounds on an already bad situation. I think there's going to be some real trouble ahead with the amount of debt that Americans are holding.
Yes,
it's only going to be compounded with job losses.
Yeah, and Alexander, summing up what I was saying here, just because the NASDAQ is green does not mean the economy is good. Wall Street is not America. Facts.
Yeah, Wall Street is the bet on America.
Yeah, and real quick here, BFRG, Jay Summers saying he's completely out here. This tapped 4.99, so didn't quite hit that $5 level that we were talking about and came back in.
Yeah, I was looking really rough. But yeah, great trade in B-Frog. I don't know. This is something probably you want to keep if you're trading all day. This is something that would keep you on your radar for additional moves later on.
Yep. Alexander going on to say, I feel like most people don't understand that the basic cost of living has skyrocketed. Exactly, because they are doing everything they can to not talk about this, but it is in fact the case.
That's why I'm really interested in that PCE report. I want to see how in line it is with the Fed's year-end projection.
And GDP, because everybody's been talking about GDP expectations have been inching up. And so I want to actually see if GDP comes in line. I don't even know what the estimate is for Q4. What are we still on Q4 or is this for Q1? I don't even remember at this point.
This I believe this is for Q4. Let me look at the PCE. I'm sorry, the Fed projections for that as well. Give me a minute.
I don't know, Atlanta Fed guys. I don't know if you guys talk or see that, but the Atlanta Fed GDP now, that thing has been all over the place. We do get another update for fourth quarter GDP today. They're currently at 2.4 for their expectations. We get another update today. I don't know if that will be revised higher, but at one point it was near 2.5, 2.6, or even higher. I don't know. Do you think these expectations and models are realistic? Do you think GDP is going to come in near 2, or is it going to be near 1? Or
let me see if I can post this for y'all here. That's I don't know if that's showing up in the chat. If you can tell me, Ryan, but this is what the
no, I don't
Federal
see it here. Let me see. Hang on a sec.
Okay. I'll post it in the happy hour trade chat, and maybe you can import it.
Yep, sure can. Let me do that right now.
So this is the projections that they updated from their last meeting minutes that they had for December. And if you scroll down, you can see the change in real GDP. Their projections that they're having for 2023 to end in their median range is 2.6. The lower end would be 2.5. The higher end would be 2.7. So the thought here is that as long as it's at or below their median projection, that it's looking more, or whatever the more favorable projection is, as long as it's within that range that they're looking for, there's a better chance of rate cuts later this year. And I'm still in that camp that we're probably not going to even get any until the back half of the year.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as you are.
PCE 2.8, that's what they're expecting. I mean, does the Fed declare victory then, or do they keep going? Do we cut or do we hold back? I know there's this debate here that a lot of economists are shifting back their expectations because they thought the first rate cut was going to be in March. But I think with the data that we're going to be getting here in the next week, and if that proves to be true, don't you think rate cuts are going to be pushed out further?
Oh yeah, I think rate cut. I think right now what's really concerning is how big of a disconnect there is when rate cuts are happening. You still have an expectation that March is on the table. You still have an expectation that May is on the table. And if you look at what the expectations are for June, you'll see that the market has priced in a 0% chance of there being of rates holding through June. So that sets up a lot of disappointment.
Yeah,
and it's very concerning. One of the things that I have been watching are what PCE and core PCE falls in line with when it comes to their projections, and we've been on the lower end of the range for the past couple of times that they've reported. So that's been helping fuel the speculation of rate cuts sooner than later.
Well said, 13.
Thank you. And yeah, Richard, rate cuts should happen around election time. That's I don't know that they're going to want to seem politically biased as much as that would happen, but I do believe Q3 and Q4 is when we'll see the initial rate cuts. I agree with that.
I mean, do you think Goldman's out of their mind? I think they want, hold on, let me see if I can find it, 5 or 6 rate cuts this year?
Yes.
Yes, I think they're out of their mind.
Hold on, let me look. I think it's 5 or 6.
By the way, real quick, shout out to Crow who mentioned Mesa. Looks like that's probably a done deal for the day. That is absolutely what it appears. So this has continued to break down here. So good job getting out of the way. You can be wrong, but you can't stay wrong, right, Jay Rice? Looks like exactly what Crow was on here today. That looking good. By the way, Save, we'll check in on Save here. This is still hugging right under that VWAP, right under that $7 level, but not breaking down, at least not yet. We'll see what is in store for Save. Our trade of the day here, EWTX, really doing a good job holding that 13 handle. See if there's any more here, but this was probably the move of the day here. How's DWAC doing? How are our DWACers holding up?
You're riding a fine line there with that name.
I don't know what to say about that, 13. I don't know what to say about that. DWAC holding right beneath its VWAP here. We'll see if this gets another move as well.
Yeah, man, NVIDIA. At some point, it'll make sense again to not be up this high. I really think this thing needs to come in and take a breather.
Yeah,
This has
but
just been a huge
I
move.
mean, you might have even had profit taking this morning, 13, and the buyers were like, "Nope, we had enough of that. We've had enough of you lowering this price. We're going to buy this puppy back up." NVIDIA, this thing is just like a freight train to the upside.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to have a similar effect when it crashes. It's going to be pretty bad to the downside. Duke the Fool Team Hackers. Yeah, that's a good name.
Wisdom saying the rate cuts will come with the Civil War. No fear, just have a beer.
Well, I'm in the right state for that.
I was going to say Bank of America. They're at they think GDP is coming in for Q4 at 1.5, and they think that consumer spending may be healthy, but it's not surging or slumping. And we don't think the report says much about the Fed's ability to cut rates beginning in March as they previously expected.
VKTX here, by the way. Sorry to change gears on you, Nick, but VKTX, this is actually one that we talked about and traded a number of times. This was the weight loss drugs, GLP inhibitors. This thing having a monster day here today, currently 22.29. This thing just on a huge move from 22.75 all the way up to these highs here. I traded this one a while back with calls. Didn't make a, I think it was actually about flat, maybe even a little bit of a loss. Wow, this thing was back in the 15s when we were trading it before. Big move here on VKTX.
The question about SMCI with their guide. I mean, that's a
candle.
That's a huge improvement in their guidance. So that's, in my opinion, that's one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, why this is moving as high as it is. It looks like it could be an overshoot. There's price targets well below this that analysts are calling for. But this is, just in my opinion, another one of these extended moves in the semiconductor space.
Just an absolutely huge move. 50-point move on this breakout move. Really crazy.
Tech is still hot, and I think it's going to be a very ugly day when it's not hot anymore.
Jay Rice saying charge point went from 44 to 158 over the course of the last 3 years. It looks like UVXY. Anyone that's traded UVXY knows exactly why that's funny. Jay, you're right on there. Kudos to you for shouting that from the mountaintops the entire time too.
Wow.
This SMCI, man, this is huge move.
And I haven't even looked through their entire report yet for any other little details about where we could see this thing going. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what's making them expect their guidance to go from 440 to 488 to now 540 to 555. That's almost an entire $1 jump.
So we were talking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Take care of yourself, Judge. And yes, go Lions. Jonathan's asking, Ryan, did you close your SQQQ thinking of going back? Yes, I closed that a while ago. When tech was really ripping and I was losing on the SQQQ every day, that's when I started to look at closing it. But I realized that it was a hedge. And the stuff that I was hedging against was up so much that I was actually net positive. So yeah, I closed that one, waited for a better setup, haven't dipped back in. Really quickly, we were talking about Dave Portnoy earlier. There was a tweet earlier. It said Spirit Airlines has now risen over 60% since Dave Portnoy called it a mega buy yesterday. He's made about $600,000 in unrealized profits on the trade in less than a day. Dave Portnoy, his own tweet here says, when DDTG upgrades a stock to a mega buy, you grab your green hammer and smash the buy button. Quote, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a gambler. End quote. That is a guy that knows his lane and drives very fast in his lane. Impressive stuff.
Did have a very, very low RSI. Just, absolutely hammered yesterday. And that was, I think that Citibank price target of $4 was a clue on where you might see the buying happen.
I think you're spot on with that, 13. Now, how funny would this be if this ends up working? Like this, they end up not going to bankruptcy, the stock ends up working, and then Dave goes on a victory lap saying, I'm the one that saved Spirit Airlines. Might as well rename it Portnoy Airlines at that point.
As long as the seats are all bar stools, I suppose.
Well done. Well done. Well, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to top that here. Thankfully, we only have 3 minutes left in the show. And by the way, stick around for the Raz Report coming right after you, after our show here today.
We have the Raz Report. We got Luke Jacoby. We got a full morning of shows on this platform from 8 to noon.
Friday don't slow us down, Nick. Friday don't slow us down. We have even more fun on Friday. Really appreciate all of you being out here and joining us. A lot of great mentions and idea generation from our chat all week, not just today. Absolutely love it. Jay is also mentioning that about a year ago today, Spruce Point put out a short report on SMCI when it was 85. Yikes. Hopefully you're not still short that. Save continuing to move up here on Save. iRobot looks like it's pinned right around 16.5 here. BFRG pulled off that 5 spot. We'll see if that gets taken again. Looks like to use that vending machine analogy, looks like they've tried to push it over 4 times and it hasn't come over yet.
Yeah, it did get to 501. That was the next $5 is the next level. So I think that that was pretty good. And that was a good exit if anybody traded up to that level. Might not be done either. You know, as long as the volume holds and still gets the attention that it has, there's more trading to be had here. DWAC is also trying to get back above VWAP. So for you DWACers out there that want to get try for another break of 27, there you go. Something to put on your radar. Just be careful. This could get rejected at VWAP.
All right, folks, we are going to wrap it up here for the day and send you over to the Raz Report. 13, thanks again for another awesome week. Nick, I'm glad that you were able to join us instead of going to school. Hopefully you still kept up with your assignments, though. Got to say the responsible thing. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all of the information this week. And I know you said it's going to be warm there next week, but if you get time, you know where to find us. We will be happy to have you on. Thanks, everybody out in internet land. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to get 13 out of here. I'm going to get Nick out of here. We are going to be done for the week. So again, redirect is already set. Make sure you stick around. Check out the Raz Report. Have a great rest of your Friday and enjoy the weekend, folks. Take care, and we'll see you for live trading next week.